Earlier on in the summer, we followed Mike Whittaker's amazing Lola T70 on its first test outing since its full engine rebuild. But that weekend didn't end up as well as it had started. I caught up with Mike as soon as we arrived here this morning. Mike, when I last spoke to you at Brands Hatch, everything was going so well. So what went wrong?
Our freshly rebuilt engine did 8 laps before some parts rattled loose on it, and it started to leak some oil, and the responsible thing for me and for anybody else racing around me was to park it up. So it's a bit disappointing. We'd had a win in another race. We were on class pole in that race, but that's motorsport. Lots of disappointing days tied together by a few good ones.
Yeah, I guess there's no warranty to call upon that either.
No, the minute it leaves the workshop, it's all my responsibility.
Ouch. So what's happened to the car since Brands Hatch?
We've had the engine repaired. We kept it in the UK and just had somebody do some work to it. We put it back in. The guys did all the setup to bring it here to Goodwood today, and we've had a good day running it round. Good.
I heard you've got some records here at Goodwood.
I did win the fastest lap of the race at the last revival.
Amazing.
But it's the car. The car that actually does the work. There's lots of people who wouldn't have a chance because they have lower powered cars. That car's really powerful and really suits this circuit.
Yeah. Tell us what makes a lap here so special at Goodwood.
Well, it's a truly historic circuit. It's still old school with trees and bankings and sort of pieces of furniture near the circuit. It's my favourite circuit of everywhere we race. It's very fast and it's very flowing in that car. There's only one slow part of the circuit, the chicane. The rest of it is really quick.
What do you see the future of these sort of race cars going towards? Do you think they're going to be a museum piece, or do you think they're still going to be out racing?
I really hope not. I see the future of road cars being electric, but I think these pieces of history should be raced, can be raced. You can use different fuels for them. They were built to race. When you come to Goodwood, 50,000 people come every day to watch the revival. So it's not just the owners or people fortunate enough to drive them. So, I think these may be the only internal combustion engines you see run in the future.
Best of luck this weekend.
I suppose the thing to watch is round here, it used to catch going up straight.
That's right, you're clear, I'm watching and you've still got daylight underneath, so yeah.
Mike may be the driver of this car, but there's a whole team of people needed to keep that competitive edge, and one of those is Mike's driving coach. David, what exactly is a driving coach, and what is your role on a day like today?
So behind Mike's success to get him to the start line, to get him the results that he needs, there's a huge amount of guys behind. The mechanics, the team managers, the engineers, and myself, the driving coach. So my specific area that I'm looking to focus on is Mike's driving. Mike's jumping between 3 cars potentially over a race weekend. So he's having to deal with something with 400 horsepower that weighs 700 kilos to something that has 600 horsepower that weighs 600 kilos. So the style that is used to optimize his driving to get the best results, the best times, the maximum cornering speeds, etc., all has to be differentiated for that. Motorsport is measured in tenths of seconds, hundredths of seconds even, so maximising each area of the car is super important. I've been driving for a total of now over 20 years, from when I started karting to where I am now. I'm now a professional GT driver, driving for BMW around the world, but I do have a passion for all things with 4 wheels basically. So coming to work with the historic cars, seeing the history of motorsport and being a part of it is absolutely amazing, and some of these cars are absolutely amazing to see, and also lucky to drive in the historics as well. So I use my laptop in all of the cars. We have something called a Race Logic data logging system, which logs speed, G-forces, and also the video as well. So each car, I can see where Mike is positioning the car out on circuit, how his inputs are for each of the cars as well, and what's really good is then I don't have to be in car. He can do a complete race run and then come back to me with the footage and the data, and then in the comfort of the pits we can then review that over and over again, and again go into the finer details, because again where Mike's at, he's really looking for those final tenths. He's an exceptional historic driver, been very successful at Goodwood historic race meetings, so I'm here purely to really hone his skills and get those last little bits out of him.
It's all the small details that make that huge difference then what you do.
Absolutely. Mike's been very successful in historic motors racing so far, and bringing together the team in all of our specialist areas contributes to the success of the project.
Thank you so much for just having the time to talk to us. It's been a pleasure, and we'll see you around soon.
No worries, thank you very much.
There's a lovely friendly atmosphere in the paddock, and you feel everyone is willing to help if someone else has a problem on the day with their car. Red colour, and you just can't miss it. Now, the Lola T70 isn't the only fabulous race car here this weekend. You only have to take a walk through the paddock to see iconic cars from every era. We caught up with one of the drivers, Tony, to find out what makes these cars and a series like this so special. So Tony, tell us about the car behind us and its amazing history.
Well, it is an interesting car actually. It was built in 1964. It's one of the first Lola T70s, and it runs a V8 Chevy engine in with a lot of horsepower and not much grip, and the brakes are not very good. But
Sounds really safe.
Apart from that, it's a lovely car. But no, the history of it actually is it was owned by John Surtees. He drove it for a couple of times, and then actually he let Jackie Stewart drive it. So it's been driven by both of them. So in terms of history, to be able to sit in there in a car that's been driven by two icons like that, I mean,
yeah, speechless really.
It's
no
fantastic.
words can describe.
Yeah, I'm very privileged and lucky to be driving it.
Is this your first car in a historic race series?
No, we've also driven another Lola, a smaller 2-litre one. So this is actually the second one that we run in a race, so that's great. So
brilliant.
It's a step up, it's a lot more powerful than the other one.
There's some very rare cars in this series. Do you ever get nervous when one of the more valuable ones gets a bit too close out on the circuit?
Well, when you're in the car, you're not really, when you've got your head down and going for it, you don't really worry too much about what you should do.
But you don't.
I think what you'll find is, the racing, it's only afterwards when you think, oh, how did I get away with that, and wasn't I lucky? But no, it does crop across your mind. But obviously, once you're racing, you've got your helmet on, it's just a car.
What makes Goodwood so special?
Well, just look around you. I mean, look at the cars that are here. It's fabulous, and when the sun's out, there's no better place to be as far as motor racing is concerned. It's a great circuit. It's got a lot of history, obviously, from being an airfield and that. And they always do a cracking job here. I mean, it's a fabulous track to drive. That's from a driver's point of view. Anyone will tell you that. It's very fast, and it's just a lovely place to be at. The atmosphere is fantastic, and it's great. I love coming here.
Do you see a bright future for series like this?
You want to see them on the circuits, and there is a lot of people, fortunately, that are interested enough and willing enough to invest in these cars and have them racing. So as long as they're doing that, I hope it's going to have a long, healthy future. Because people do like these cars. They make a lot of noise. They're very quick, and they're fantastic to look at. And they're very in the colours and the way, and the old styles and all that. They're all different. So hopefully, as long as people like them and people are willing to invest in them and race them, I think there's a good future. Hopefully.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Well, you're going out soon, Tony. So good luck with that, and let's catch up later. Goodwood is an historic venue for racing, dating back to its first race in 1948. The lap record of 1 minute, 18.2 seconds is held by Nick Padmore, driving Mike Whittaker's Lola T70, set in 2015. Looks like Mike's had to come into the pits.
I just had to kind of do him down. He relaxed for one moment. It always takes a little bit of time to acclimatise to the speed of the car around such an old-style circuit, but yeah, it's good fun. We've got it sliding around, and we made some changes, and we're going to go out again and see what it's like.
Every time we come to a race circuit, we always leave with a sense of excitement. Not only do we get to see some amazing cars, but we meet some lovely people along the way. Not only do they have a passion for what they do, but they always do it with a smile on their face. Today we have come somewhere a little bit quieter than Goodwood Race Circuit to see another iconic car. This is a beautiful Mark 1 Escort Mexico. The Mark 1 Escort first appeared in Britain in 1967 and replaced the Ford Anglia. They were fitted with various engine sizes and configurations and were produced up until March 1975. It had a successful motorsport history, winning the 1970 London to Mexico World Cup Rally, as well as the 1972 RAC Rally, driven by Roger Clark. Now I know that this is one of Colin's favourite iconic cars, so I'm going to leave this one to him.
Rob, this is beautiful. Always been one of my favourites, as you know, the Mark 1 Escort. I've got to say, this is one of the best I've seen for a long time, mate. Tell us a bit about it.
Well, I did own it about 5 years ago, prior to owning it, and then I got made a silly offer. I went to a car show, and someone said, "Oh, I've got a friend that's really interested," not realising he was in Scotland, and he bought it. And I said to the chap, if it ever comes back up for sale, I'll buy it back.
Yeah.
5 years later, I got a phone call, and I bought it back, to my surprise. Yeah, absolutely love Mark 1 Escorts. You know, when I was younger, they were the cars, you know, everything about them, you know, you just see one, they just stood out from, you know, not knocking all the Fords, the Cortinas and the Ford Anglias and all the other cars. And you see one of these going down the road and you thought, that is it.
That is it.
That is it. There's just something about them. I can't explain.
Why didn't you buy another one in particular in between, or...?
I went through my Ford range, my Mustang. I've still got 66 fastback, but I've gone back to this. This is when I grew up. This has got memories, that, you know, great memories, and just going out, all your mates, and, you know, they were just an iconic thing, like a British thing as well.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, this was my first car, a 13 GT Escort.
Was it?
To me, it's like seeing an old friend and picking up a friendship, as you know.
Yeah. And the other thing is, you get in them, and even though I'm now 56, I get in them and I'm 18, 19 again.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. And you go out in this car and you get thumbs up all the time. It's either thumbs up. If you go to a petrol station, it's the worst thing you can do. Someone comes over and you thought, have I come in for petrol or have I put petrol in? Because they'll talk. It brings back good memories.
Yeah.
Instead of, like, you know, my dad had one of them, he's no longer with us. Or I had one of them. And then when they come round to say, what are they worth now? And you say, well, they're between 40 to 50,000. They go, what, really? I'll give £150 for my Mark 1 Escort.
This one has got a different trim to normal, hasn't it?
It's got the X-Pack. It's got when these were done at AVO, which is in Essex, you know, you could upgrade your trim pack to having the custom pack, which they done in the RSs and the BDAs and stuff like that. And the whole lot has been recovered on original frames and stuff like that. They're impossible to find because there are only a limited amount of time that Ford done them, you
Right,
know.
okay.
Same as the spotlights on the front as well. They were an optional Ford extra as well, you know.
Yeah.
The RS wheels as well. Some people put the sports rims, which were similar to the Mark III, Mark IV Cortina.
I know the ones.
But they were like the 5.5J. They were the deeper dish rim as well. So you had loads of options you could do, you know.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of significance in the car. 6-dial dash.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
straight away.
Same as the 13 GTI.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
1300E.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 1300E. The 1300E was more of the executive's car.
Yeah.
You know, that was more your rep's car. You know, like your 1600E, your Mark II Cortina.
Rob, can you explain to us the significant differences between the Mexico and a standard car?
Well, the standard car with a Mexico, because they rallied it, at the back of it you've got like a stone guard.
Right.
So when they were rallying, it didn't hit underneath and bump it and affect the axle. You had anti-tramp bars on them. You know, some of them did and some of them didn't. The really early ones were different on the shock absorbers as they went up. The later ones were better. So you had the anti-tramp bars on the back.
Yeah.
You got the studs in the boot as well that holds the stone guard up.
Okay.
Obviously on the front you've got the AVO plates on it as well, which are strengthening plates on top. Obviously rallying if you're doing the forest or whatever. And the main thing as well is underneath you've got strengthening plates. They're called flinch plates.
Right.
And what they do on the front as well, they just strengthen up the front struts. But the biggest mistake of any Mark 1 Mexico or RS, and a lot of people don't, this is where they fall when they buy them, because there's so many of them that this could have been reshelled at some time as well. But the biggest mistake they make is on the back where the exhaust goes, the clamp is totally different to all the Escorts apart from the Mexico RS twin cam GT.
Right.
Otherwise, you know, and a lot of people that buy them, and the first thing I do, I look at the back, look at the clamp on the back, and I go, that's not original.
That's not an original car.
Yeah, not saying it's not original, it could have been reshelled and stuff like that, you know, but obviously because the prices are going up now with the provenance of them, if you've got any rallying with them, you've got any provenance with them, you know, someone famous has owned them or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
it then becomes like
Yeah,
a
more
different...
sought after.
Yeah, a
More
lot
money.
more sought after, yeah.
I mean, this one is just mint. What work's been done on it?
It had a full rebuild. It was originally, it was black originally, and then it got painted red and it had a gold stripe down it.
Yeah.
And then the bloke who originally owned it, he then painted it, had it painted back to how it was. He wanted it back to how it would have come out at the factory. And it's a detail, and it's a bits like even the rear bumper. I know it sounds like, you know, your Mark 1 Escort boys out there, but even on the Mark 1 Escort bumper, on the Mexicos and the AVOs, they've got a little gap in them in the back.
Right.
You know, there's loads of little significant things on them, you know. And like fluid clutch,
Yeah.
your brakes on the engine, which we'll look at later on the engine as well. Specification on the engine, they're all 1600 crossflows. The reason that when they rallied it, when they brought the Mexico out and they come back and they won so much with it, the crossflow was more reliable than the overhead cam and the BDA.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why it on endurance, on going out, rallying out there,
Yeah.
and they come back and then this was produced.
Got
which
you.
I'm more than happy with.
I mean, I must admit, I've never seen a black one before.
They done a limited amount of black ones. I believe there was 4. I might be wrong, but I've spoken to the RS AVO. There was 4 of them done, special order. It's
Right.
like anything. You could have them done in different, like the Mark 1 Escort twin cams. They were done in a green or whatever. You know, if you were going to a main agent, you wanted to be a little bit quirky and different. So you would go in and say, I want it black. I want the RS, you know, the pack trim inside it rather than the normal Escort seats, which were not the best comfortable ones.
No,
you know, back
I
then.
will admit that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you a story. A woman I know, she saved up a knife green shield stamps and got a 951 with the green shield stamps.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
A red one. And do you know she had that until about 4 years ago?
I wonder how many stamps it would got.
I don't know. She worked in a supermarket, let's put it
Did
that
she?
way, yeah.
No, but they're a great iconic car.
No, this is
I
beautiful.
go out and to me, it brings back my youth.
Yeah.
It brings back, like, you know, when I was dating my girlfriend, who's now my wife, all them years ago. And, you know, I go out in it, I put a bit of weight on and that, but I just go back to how it was. And it's the only car that my wife likes.
And she likes it?
Yeah, she doesn't really go for the big American Mustang, stuff like that. She says, I like this car. So,
nostalgic as well?
Yeah, because it's just, do you know what? The memories of them are just so good, you know? And it was just fun, you know?
Yeah.
It was just an iconic car, which is now, basically, if you look at Ford, with the Mark 1, if it wasn't for, like, obviously this, you wouldn't have had the Mark 2 RS as well. And it goes on, and then you've got the turbos and stuff. And all the boys that own these cars, when you go to the car shows, they always seem to be drawn to these.
Yeah.
They're like a bee around a honey.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, whenever I see one, it always puts a smile on my face, and if they stop, I've got to stop and have a bit of a chat with them.
Yeah,
This is beautiful, though.
I mean, not this car in particular. I had another Mexico, and I was going along Southend Seafront, and the police pulled us over, and I thought, I'm not speeding, I've got my seatbelt on and that, and undone. He said, I said, can I help you, officer? And he said, I must say, he said, I was behind it, I just wanted to have a chat with you about your car. You couldn't make it up, could you?
No,
you couldn't make it up, and this is the thing about them, you know, they're just a lovely, you know, honest little car that I think will go on forever, you know. Until they turn them into electric. That's the only thing I'm worried about. What's going to happen after that? But, you know, I'm going to enjoy it for as long as I can.
Are you taking it to any shows or anything like that?
Yeah. I've joined the RS Owners Club, and, you know, they do meetings, and it's pretty local because they're Essex.
Yeah.
They were made, you know, at the AVO plant. You know, they're such a, you know, the people that own them are just normal working people.
Yeah.
You know, roughly my age. As well.
Well, yeah.
You know.
And mine.
And yours, yeah.
Well, Rob, we've talked about the car and it looks beautiful. I'm sure it does drive nice, but can we go for a ride?
Do you know what? I didn't think you were going to ask me. Got so much going on, you know. You can drive them normal, and you've just got that there if you want it, you know, that little bit.
Yeah.
It's just
sounds lovely, doesn't it?
You can't. Do you know what? I love the sound of a V8, but you can't beat a crossflow or a Pinto.
No. I mean, them 40s, when you put your foot down, you can hear them, can't you?
Definitely, yeah.
I'll tell you what, from memory, I just couldn't remember it being this low to the ground.
No, this has been lowered, I forgot to say.
Oh, right. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I've lowered it 2 inches or 2.5, and I've put lowering springs on the front, which is good until you go over a really big bump.
Yeah. I mean, for me, Ford's really nailed it with this.
Oh, 100%. Well, they just done everything right. They made a small... I mean, you think they come off the Ford Anglia, the 105E.
Yeah.
And then they designed this, and they just upgraded everything, like disc brake and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was a massive leap forward, really.
Oh, God, yeah, not half. And back then, I bet out of every 10 people, 2 or 3 people had a Mark 1 Escort.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, going back then, they were quite cheap runabout, weren't they, sort of thing? I mean, my 13 GT cost me £280.
Well, that's a weird thing, because they got to the point where they become the run of the mill. Nobody really saw the bigger picture of,
didn't.
Of all the AVOs and the Mexicos, and then realised, and then they were ended up changing hands for, well, people were breaking them for spares and putting them on other cars, and of course everyone was buying, like, you know, the Ford Capri come out, you know, you had all that, and they sort of like thought, well, they're all right, but I want to move on to another car. And the amount of these that were stolen as well, you know.
I mean, you could open them with a screwdriver, couldn't you? And a lot of people did. And start them as well.
And start them, that's it. Pull them out and just you're away, you know. But then I think what happens is, after a while, when people reflect on cars and that, and they go back and they go, do you know what? they're a nice car.
Yeah.
And the prices of them now have just absolutely escalated.
I know.
Stupidity. They've sort of levelled off a bit now, but you know, people. I mean, I've had notes put on this as well. People that, you know, even dealers that I know, do you want to sell it? I want it for myself.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, to me now, the reason I got this car back was because it was meant to be.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, this is definitely a keeper, I would say.
And you know, when the wife's happy, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And the bits for these cars, every single bit for this car, you can get.
Yeah.
Because they're an icon, a British icon as well. Any bits for the Mark 1 Escort and the Mark 2, it's just a phone call away.
Yeah.
You know, and you can make them better. You can make them like, you know, the rubbers, the components.
Yes.
You know, I mean, power steering on a Mark 1 Escort, never heard of it.
No.
You know.
No.
But yeah, you know, stuff like that. And I'm just a petrol head, and I love me Fords.
Yeah, I do.
I love all of them, but my favourite is a Mark 1 Escort.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm with you on that.
You know.
Definitely, 100%. As I say, I've always loved them. I was gutted when they stopped making them.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a nice steady surge of power as well.
Well, if you get your 40s or 45 tuned up, you know, you can't beat them. I mean, they're very temperamental to weather.
Yeah, I know.
Obviously,
yeah.
But you get a little spit and a fart out of them. But I'll be honest with you, when they're running right, you know, the only thing is with it, I look at my petrol gauge.
Yeah.
Colin, how was that?
Very special. One of my favourites.
We didn't think you were going to come back. But now that Colin's back, unfortunately, we have run out of time for today. But we do hope you've enjoyed us at Goodwood Circuit with the amazing T70 Lola, as well as with Rob's amazing Ford Escort. Thanks for watching, and I do hope you'll join us for another amazing episode of Iconic Rides. Bye for now.